Anytime a screenwriter writes a script for a movie or for a documentary or for a series or just for a play, whatever type of script it is, he hands in the script to the producer, and the producer will check the script, and if the script is in line with what the producer wants to produce, or if the script can be altered in such a way that is in harmony with the project, the producer will say yes to the script, but then it will be handed over to the potential actors. And the actors, when going to the script, they have the right to say no. They have the right to refuse the role. If a role goes against the convictions and values of an actor, the actor can say, I'm not playing this role. I'm from Jewish descent and I have to play a Nazi officer, or I'm not doing that. Or it can be that they will need to perform sex acts in that role, and they say, no, I'm not a porn star, so that's not going to happen. In any case, the producer checks the script as well as the actors. Forget about acting. Let's go to the political arena. When a legislation is initiated by the European Commission, it goes to the European Parliament. And the parliamentarians who have been elected to that office, it's a bit more complicated than a national election. Eventually, the people that say they are selected from the parties upon which the population votes. So eventually it's a selection, we know that. But the people in the European Parliament will look at the legislation, and if they say that, okay, this goes too far, or the implications of this new legislation may cause a lot of harm or may cause a lot of disruption, they'll just say no to it, and it has to be amended. However, the European Parliament can't just send back legislation. It will go to the Council of Ministers. And the Council of Ministers also have to say, okay, this cannot go through. This is not right. And then let's go all the way back and forth till the legislation has received acceptable shape. Okay, enough about European politics. I'm not going to explain special legislation, ordinary legislation. I'm not going to explain all of that to you. You guys didn't do European Union studies. I'm using it as a parable. So I spoke about acting, then about European legislation. Realize that in both cases, an expectation was handed over. In the case of the script writer, or screenwriter, in case of the one that wrote the script, there was an expectation for the actors. But the actors realized, hold on a minute, I don't agree with this. This goes too far. In case of European legislation, an expectation was codified in letters to them as a proposal, but the EU parliamentarians thought, okay, no, we can't let it go like this. Or it was the Council of Ministers said, okay, this needs to go back. In any case, there was an expectation handed over onto them, and they opposed the expectation when they saw, okay, the implications of what is expected here goes too far. Now, why did I use the example of acting and European legislation? Because in both cases, the people that will have to enact and act out the expectation, they will be the ones responsible for acting out the expectation. Because when they act out the expectation, they will be the ones that have caused the effect, and all the consequences will be because of their enactment. So they don't want to enact something that will have disastrous consequences, because if it happens, everyone will look at them and they have something to explain. Because eventually it's them acting it out. Now, let's go to daily life now. How often do people question or challenge the script society hands over to them? Society tells them, you need to stand up for yourself, you need to enforce boundaries, you need to fight back, you need to do this and that. Society also tells you need to be respectful. You shouldn't talk back to your parents. Oh, the individual's older than you. Show some respect. Respect this, respect that. Those are scripts, encoded expectations handed down to you. And in society, violence is used to coerce you to comply with those expectations. If you're just a small kid, a small child, I understand that you get along because you don't have any physical nor spiritual options available to you to say no to the expectations. Even your first name, you couldn't choose, okay? However, the moment someone becomes a bit older, they enter their teenage years when their sexuality begins to develop. The moment they are in the teenage years, they can reflect. They can see through things. How often does it happen that people challenge the script society hands over to them? There are those who are upset with the script and they act out that frustration through smoking, drinking, partying, all of that, but eventually they cling onto the same script they resisted. So they only resist the script because they're upset that they are asked to align themselves with the script. But eventually they cling onto control, and the script promotes stability, and the script even promises a sense of control. So because it's sense of control that's promised by the script, they cling onto it. How many of them, I'm not talking about resisting a script, how many of them challenge and question the script handed over to them? There was this child abuse case in the United States where the parents were arrested and the authorities, let's say the police, asked the child, what's your name? She said, idiot. And everyone was thinking, what? She thinks her name is idiot? Why? She was just, I'm not sure whether she was 4 or 5 years old, but most of the time when they addressed her, they said idiot. So what happened? The brain captured this association, so that's why she thought her name is idiot. That's how you learned your first name. When people called me, when I was a small baby, till I'm my 4th, 5th year old, they would say Rashid when they were addressing me. So my brain captured the connection. That's why I became attached to the sound Rashid. Whenever someone says Rashid, I look around. So my first name was conditioned onto me. So like everyone's first name. The way you write your name, the way you spell your name in English or in any language is all something that has been conditioned onto you. So that girl, 4 or 5 years old, thought her name was idiot. Why? Because that's how she has been socialized. When you're being socialized, codified expectations are handed over to you, formally and informally. And there's something wrong with that in itself, because that's how human beings form communities. That's how human beings get along together. However, the script is handed over to you. Do you challenge it when you sense that something doesn't add up with the script? Or do you just get along in the hope to get the acceptance? Look, someone that tells you that if someone tries to control you, you should just walk away and say no, stand up for yourself. What they say may sound true, but if you enact it in a real danger situation, you'll endanger yourself more. Because someone that's so desperate for control that they even try to use violence to control you, you can't just say no and walk away, because they'll come after you, they'll attack you. Or even if they don't attack you, they will experience a narcissistic injury, and they, behind your back, will lie about you, or they may begin to stalk your relatives, or they may do something out of line because they are injured. You didn't injure them, they injured themselves with their expectations, but because you refuse those expectations, now they're triggered. So now there's more danger. So what you should do is examine the situation, get along with the situation without endangering yourself too much, so that you can escape the situation without anyone being harmed. That is what you ought to do. But if you follow the script that you need to stand up for yourself, enforcing boundaries and all of that, you have to say no. When you follow that script in a real danger situation, man, you will escalate things further. So Do you challenge the script society hands on to you? There's nothing wrong with a script being handed on to you. There's nothing wrong with that. But you should challenge the scripts and not just follow it unconditionally. If you do follow it, let it be for practical reasons that will generate long-term benefits and long-term well-being. What's that for now? Keep agreeing with Christ and be at peace.